The National Hockey League is more than just a schedule of games played on ice. It is the top professional hockey league in the world, the home of the Stanley Cup, and one of the major sports institutions in the United States and Canada. Today, the NHL includes 32 teams spread across North America, with 25 based in the United States and 7 in Canada. That structure tells an important story, a league born in Canada that eventually grew into a cross-border sports giant. Its headquarters are in New York City, with additional offices in Toronto and Montreal, reflecting both its modern business identity and its deep Canadian roots. To understand the NHL, you have to start with the Stanley Cup. Long before the NHL became the only league competing for it, the Cup was already hockey's most famous prize. It is the oldest professional sports trophy in North America, and it carries a tradition unlike most modern championships. Rather than being replaced each year, the Stanley Cup physically connects generations of champions. Names are engraved, dynasties are remembered, and the trophy itself becomes part of the sport's mythology. The International Ice Hockey Federation has called it one of the most important championships available to hockey, and that prestige helped shape the NHL's rise. The NHL was organized on November 26, 1917, at the Windsor Hotel in Montreal. But it did not appear out of nowhere. It emerged after the suspension of the National Hockey Association, or NHA, which had been founded in 1909 in Renfrew, Ontario. The NHA had been one of the key professional hockey organizations of its time, but internal disputes and business tensions created the conditions for a new league. When the NHL formed, it effectively replaced the NHA as a major competitor for the Stanley Cup. In its earliest years, the NHL was not yet the sole ruler of professional hockey. It was one league among others, fighting for legitimacy, talent, fans, and championship status. At the beginning, the NHL was a small Canadian league. It had 4 teams, all located in Canada, which explains the word national in its name. The league's early identity was closely tied to Canadian hockey culture, where the sport had already become deeply embedded in local communities, winter life, and regional pride. But even in its first years, the NHL's future depended on more than tradition. Professional hockey needed stable ownership, paying audiences, and a competitive structure that could survive financially. The league's early survival was not guaranteed. Its later dominance came from adaptation, absorbing opportunities, outlasting rivals, and expanding at the right moments. The first major step beyond Canada came in 1924, when the Boston Bruins joined the league. This was a turning point because it made the NHL a truly cross-border organization. Entering the American market changed the league's economic potential. Cities in the United States offered larger audiences, more commercial possibilities, and new rivalries. Boston's arrival also showed that professional hockey could attract fans outside its Canadian birthplace. Over time, the U.S. presence would become essential to the NHL's growth. What began as a Canadian league gradually became a North American league, with expansion shaping everything from travel schedules to television markets. By 1926, the NHL had reached a defining milestone. It became the only league competing for the Stanley Cup. This mattered enormously. Instead of the Cup being contested through inter-league competition, it became directly tied to the NHL's postseason. From that point forward, the league and the trophy became almost inseparable in the public imagination. Winning the Stanley Cup meant winning the NHL playoffs, and winning the NHL playoffs meant reaching the highest level of professional hockey. This exclusivity gave the league a powerful identity. It also helped centralize elite hockey talent, business interest, and fan attention around a single championship path. From 1942 to 1967, the NHL had only 6 teams. This era is remembered as the time of the original 6, the Boston Bruins, Chicago Blackhawks, Detroit Red Wings, Montreal Canadiens, New York Rangers, and Toronto Maple Leafs. The name can be a little misleading, because these were not literally the first 6 NHL teams. Instead, they were the 6 that remained during a long period of stability before modern expansion. The small league created intense rivalries and concentrated talent, but it also limited opportunity. Fewer teams meant fewer roster spots, fewer markets, and a narrower geographic reach. Still, the original six era became central to NHL nostalgia and identity. The NHL changed dramatically in 1967, when it doubled in size by adding 6 new teams. This expansion was one of the most important moments in league history. It responded to growing interest in professional sports, competition from other hockey ventures, and the desire to enter new American markets. Expansion also transformed the league's competitive landscape. More teams meant more players, more fans, more local broadcasts, and more business complexity. It marked the beginning of the NHL's modern expansion era. The league was no longer content to remain a compact group of traditional hockey cities. It was becoming a national and eventually continental sports product. After 1967, the league continued to grow. It reached 18 teams by 1974 and then 21 teams after the 1979 expansion. Later, between 1991 and 2000, the NHL expanded further to 30 teams. This period pushed the league into new regions and helped turn hockey into a more visible part of the North American sports landscape. Some expansion choices were natural fits in cold weather markets. Others were more ambitious, bringing hockey to places where the sport had to build a fan base over time. These moves reflected a broader strategy. The NHL wanted not only to serve existing hockey communities, but also to create new ones. The modern NHL reached 31 teams in 2017 and 32 teams in 2021. Then, in 2024, Salt Lake City was awarded an expansion franchise that acquired the hockey assets of the Arizona Coyotes, whose operations were deactivated. That move established the Utah Hockey Club, later known as the Utah Mammoth, while keeping the total number of teams at 32. This illustrates how expansion is not always a simple story of adding more clubs. Sometimes it involves relocation, market reassessment, ownership changes, and long-term planning. The NHL's map has never been fixed. It has evolved with economics, arena deals, fan support, and the league's vision for growth. The NHL season is built around a demanding rhythm. The regular season typically runs from October to April, and each team plays 82 games. That long schedule tests depth, endurance, travel management, goaltending, coaching, and roster health. Because hockey is so physically intense, surviving the regular season is not just about having stars. Teams need balance across forward lines, dependable defense, special teams, and backup goaltending. Every game contributes to playoff positioning, and small differences in points can determine home ice advantage or postseason qualification. The long season creates a large sample of performance, but it also leaves room for injuries, hot streaks, and late-season drama. After the regular season, 16 teams advance to the Stanley Cup playoffs. The playoffs are a 4-round tournament that can run into June, and they are widely considered one of the toughest championship paths in sports. A team must win 4 best-of-7 series to lift the cup. That means adapting to opponents, absorbing physical punishment, handling overtime pressure, and maintaining elite focus for weeks. The playoff format also creates memorable upsets because a lower-seeded team can get hot at the right moment. In the NHL, the regular season proves consistency, but the playoffs decide legacy. Historically, no franchise is more associated with NHL success than the Montreal Canadiens. Since the league's founding, they have won the most NHL titles, with 25 overall, 3 championship series before the NHL gained full exclusivity of the Stanley Cup in 1926, and 22 Stanley Cups afterward. Their record reflects the league's early Canadian foundations, but it also shows how dynasties can define an entire sport. At the same time, the modern NHL is far more geographically and competitively diverse. The reigning champions in the source record are the Carolina Hurricanes, who defeated the Vegas Golden Knights in the 2026 Stanley Cup Final, a matchup that reflects how widely the league has expanded beyond its earliest centers. Today, The NHL is the fifth highest-grossing professional sports league in the world by revenue and features players from 18 countries. That global talent pool is central to its modern identity. The league is still rooted in Canada and the United States, but its players come from across Europe and beyond, bringing different styles, training systems, and hockey cultures. The NHL has also faced challenges, including 4 league-wide work stoppages, all since 1992, showing that even major leagues must navigate labor conflict and business pressure. Its story is one of survival, expansion, tradition, and reinvention. From a small 1917 league in Montreal to a 32-team global hockey showcase, the NHL became the sport's premier stage. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.